Welcome in for another edition of the Morning Espresso here on the SDH Network. I'm Jason Longshore, and as always, this is presented by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. MLS six pack coming up later on the network, but a couple of nuggets on MLS as we jump into the espresso on a Friday morning. Miami, they're hosting Philadelphia on Saturday night. San Diego, they're hosting LAFC on Saturday night. Two really interesting games in their own right. Miami and Philly, that's a battle between two of the top teams in the East so far. San Diego and LAFC, first meeting between two new SoCal rivals. But LAFC and Miami will also not be trying not to look ahead anyway, as they play each other in the quarterfinals of the CONCACAF Champions Cup starting on Wednesday in LA. Chicago, they host Montreal. You're going to hear more about the Fire on the MLS six pack coming up later today. Hugo Kuipers is trying to score in his fifth straight match. That would tie a Fire club record. Portland and Houston, that's the Sunday night soccer game. Portland, a little bit of momentum after a nice win over Colorado last week. Houston still looking for their first win in 2025. That one will be the big special package game on Sunday Night Soccer. And a little extra nugget from the Sports Business Journal, MLS is signing some distribution agreements that will allow Sunday Night Soccer to be shown on linear channels in international markets, trying to expand the reach of the league in some different countries like Australia, in Southeast Asia, in the Middle East, in Spain and Catalonia, in Germany, in Israel, in Malta, and in Korea. And they're still looking to add more linear distribution on top of the international distribution on Apple TV. Interesting moves by MLS, and I hope you see more of that as the MLS season pass package, I think, has been great if you're connected and you love the league and you're all bought in, but maybe the linear can be a way to get people on board. And this might be a new route that not just MLS does, but other leagues, as Major League Baseball is talking about some kind of a package, getting their local TV rights all in house starting in 2028. They might be looking at something like this as well, where games will be on Fox and then everything else will be on their new package. I could see MLS maybe looking to do more linear on top of the overall package with Apple TV. So stay tuned. On Saturday night, that's when things get started here locally on the MLS side. Atlanta hosting NYC, first of three straight at the Benz for the Five Stripes. Kickoff is at 7:40. Pregame coverage starts at 6:30 on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Abe Gordon, Madison Cruz will get you started. Mike Conti and I will take over right before kickoff. Let's bounce over to Europe. UEFA Women's Champions League. No stress in Barcelona series. They move on to the semifinals. They demolished Wolfsburg 6-1 on the day, 10-2 on aggregate. The interesting one was Chelsea and Manchester City. City came in with a 2-goal advantage from the first leg. Chelsea scored 3 in the first half. They end up holding on. They win 3-2 on aggregate. Sandy Baltimore, Natalie Bjorn, and Myra Ramirez, they scored the goals to send Chelsea through. And now we talked about this on the men's side in England. Liverpool had a chance for a quadruple. Chelsea have a chance for a quadruple on the women's side. They have already won the Women's League Cup. They beat City in that. They are 8 points clear at the top of the league table. They are in the semifinals where they will face Barcelona, which is going to be an epic battle between those two in the Women's Champions League. And the FA Cup campaign still going. They will play Liverpool in the semifinals on April 12th. The quadruple is still on for Sonia Bonpastor and Chelsea. Let's stay in women's football. Let's go to Spain. Liga F, La Liga F. They are working to introduce football video support next season. That is the cost effective alternative to VAR. They're asking FIFA for permission to use it. This is something that FIFA has been putting together. And one, La Liga F doesn't have VAR currently, and there was some controversy in the Real Madrid Barcelona match here recently. That's where this is coming from. If FIFA approves it, this would be the highest profile league to try it initially. And it also, on top of the idea of it being more cost effective VAR for competitions that might only use one camera, even an automated camera, it's basically a replay system of whatever cameras they have. And the way that it works, instead of having a video assistant referee, coaches can challenge on-field decisions. It's expected that they would have two challenges that they could use. Their signals, they would basically fill out a card to say what they're challenging. I don't know what the kind of rules would be about what they can challenge and what they can't challenge. But it's interesting, and it would be at a high level competition. It would be very fascinating to see how that would go. So be on the lookout for that next year. I don't think it is approved yet, but they are trying to get FIFA to allow them to do that next season in the Spanish women's top flight. In the men's top flight, Barcelona, they won 3-0 over Osasuna on Thursday night in Barcelona. 3 points. They gained 3 points on Real Madrid, 7 ahead now of Atleti. This was the rescheduled game that no one but La Liga was happy with the date. Dani Olmo was injured in it for Barcelona. But the issue that could come up is Inigo Martinez. He had a bruised knee against Atleti before the international break. He pulled out of the Spain squad as a result. According to Cadena Cope, Osasuna are considering challenging this result because there is a FIFA regulation that details that any player who is injured and cannot take part in international games cannot play in the 5 days after the last international game of that window. Spain played Sunday, so this was 4 days later. So the detail of this hinges on whether the Spanish Federation liberated him from international duty when they sent him home, basically like dropped him from the squad. If they did, and by all accounts they did, they talked about it. I think this is a paperwork issue. Then there shouldn't be an issue here. It sounds like we're getting into technicalities. Osasuna is desperate because they are not having a good time right now, and Barcelona is just living in courtrooms at this point. So we'll see what happens there. Let's move to England. A US based consortium is moving in on an £18 million majority takeover of Leighton Orient. This is part of a plan that would be a multi sport sort of situation in East London. The group is trying to buy about 70% of Leighton Orient. It's a group of sport, media, and tech investors. The buying group is understood to be led by the TV exec, David Gandler. He's the one who's been handling the negotiations with Nigel Travis, who is Leighton Orient's owner. The tech and sport entrepreneur Kit Hawkins and Neil Liebman, who is an executive at the Texas Rangers in baseball. They've had talks about joining the consortium. Gandler is fronting the bid. He sold his 17% stake in Paris FC last October. That club was taken over by Bernard Arnault, France's richest person. Gandler is a former Warner Brothers exec, and he's the founder and chief exec of Fubo TV. So very interesting things all the way around here with Leighton Orient. But a source with knowledge of the buyer's plans told The Guardian that they would like to attach an American football franchise to Leighton Orient. That team would play in the European League of Football, which is a 16-team league that will begin its fifth season in May. They don't have a team in Great Britain. They would be very happy about doing that. A new stadium, a new training ground are on the agenda, all kinds of chaos. They're looking at what Brentford has done and they want to kind of follow that. So stay tuned about Leighton Orient being part of a multi sport group and being run by the head of Fubo TV. Very interesting. Brazilian Serie A, the top flight in Brazil, it starts on Saturday. Neymar still out injured for Santos. Probably get used to that. The state competitions have all finished up. Corinthians, they won the Campeonato Paulista, which is the Sao Paulo State Championship, 1-0 on aggregate over Palmeiras. Of course, there were some fights on the field afterwards because, hey, welcome to Brazil. But Memphis Depay of Corinthians, that's the first trophy that he has won since moving to Brazil. Let's stay in Serie A, but let's go to the original. In Italy, they have signed a deal to partner with Reddit, the first European soccer league to do a partnership with Reddit. They'll post behind the scenes and game day content, match highlights, other announcements in the existing Serie A subreddit, which will be completely managed independently by moderators. Serie A will host some Ask Me Anything sessions with players, coaches, and league officials. This is the kind of stuff that the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, they already do. Serie A, the first European soccer league to become an official partner with Reddit. We talked about it yesterday on the Espresso. Xabi Alonso, he was going to speak to the media, and there was a lot of speculation that he would clarify his future. Well, he didn't really. He kind of did. He spoke yesterday, and he said that the situation this year is a different one. He said, quote, at the time, there was something to decide, talking about last year. Quote, this time, there isn't. That's the big difference, unquote. So he's under contract at Leverkusen into 2026. He doesn't have an offer right now from any other club, so that's why he's saying it the way that he is. But the conversation is that Real Madrid could move on from Carlo Ancelotti after the Club World Cup. Would Xabi Alonso say no at that stage? He didn't have to answer that question yesterday. I don't know what his answer is going to be. Stay tuned still for that rhombus of Leverkusen, the Brazilian national team, who's going to talk to Dorival Jr. today, according to reports in Brazil. He might be fired. Brazil wants Carlo Ancelotti. That could open a seat at Real Madrid that Xabi Alonso could move into. So the rhombus is still intact. It's just delayed in terms of how things move from now. Let's stay in Germany because this one continues to get more interesting. You had a change of tune from Alphonso Davies' agent, Nedal Huose, who said that over the past 24 hours, I spoke with Jesse Marsh on several occasions. Remember, he wrote yesterday that he was very upset with Alphonso Davies. At one point, not going to be in the starting lineup for the game against the U.S. in CONCACAF Nations League, but then starting and then getting injured. And he really threw some heavy criticisms at Canada Soccer for not taking care of their players. So the agent said he spoke to Jesse Marsh. I have a lot of respect for him as a coach. We had positive and productive discussions and laid down the groundwork to ensure we are all aligned and working together to continue to protect the best interest of players. Since Atlanta has Philippe Dujic in charge in the match in the middle on Saturday, I will quote him because of his legendary moment. However, now Bayern is very upset about Canada Soccer's handling of Alphonso Davies' injury. Remember, he went off injured 12 minutes into the game. Canada Soccer gave him the all clear, but an examination on his return to Munich revealed the torn ACL. Fullback's expected to be out for at least 6 months. Press conference today, Christoph Freund, the sporting director at Bayern, he said that Canada Soccer's decision to send Davies on a 12-hour flight to Germany before a thorough medical examination was conducted was, quote, borderline and, quote, negligent. He added, quote, the way things went down was incorrect. We are the employer and also pay the player, so we will investigate. Now, Bayern CEO Jan Christian Dressen said that the club wanted, quote, a complete clarification of the events. They accused Canada Soccer of, quote, gross negligence and said, quote, we reserve the right to take legal action. He continued, quote, sending an obviously injured player with a damaged knee on a 12-hour intercontinental flight without a thorough medical assessment is, in our view, grossly negligent and a clear breach of medical duty of care, unquote. Whew. Maybe Canada Soccer just wishes the agent was a little upset at this point, eh? This is not good for Canada Soccer at all. This looks really bad, and I have no idea what could have went wrong in all of this situation, but stay tuned. On a brighter note, as we wrap up this edition of the Morning Espresso, the U.S. U19 and U18 women's national teams will attend a concurrent training camp that opens Sunday in Fayetteville, U.S. Soccer's new home. They'll be at McCurry Park. The main focus of the U19s, which is coached by Carrie Kvetten, and Jan Klein's U18s, Jen Klein's U18s, is the 2025 CONCACAF Women's U20 Championship. That's set for May 29th to June 8th. That's going to be in Costa Rica. The two squads include 7 NWSL players. From a local perspective, Kara Kroon of Chambly High School and UCLA, she's in the U19 group, while Maya Towns of UGA is in the U18 group. We'll see how those squads end up coming together for that CONCACAF U20 championship coming up in about 2 months down in Alajuela, Costa Rica. That'll do it for the Morning Espresso for today. That'll do it for the Morning Espresso for the week. We'll be back on Monday to get you caught up on everything from the weekend. We'll see if Canada Soccer is still getting yelled at by people. We'll see if we've learned anything else about some of the title races around Europe. And we'll see what we learn about Major League Soccer in another match day coming up here in MLS. Can't wait. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following us on social media platforms. We greatly, greatly appreciate it here at SDH. And as always, thank you to our friends at Oglethorpe University for presenting the Morning Espresso.